Maybe. Bill,
Hi,
how are you?
yeah. Yeah, I'm looking for the day you come in, you sound great. No. That's never gonna happen? Not likely.
Uh, well.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you here. It's much easier to see you.
Yeah. I hear you.
I know. Amazingly enough. No, you're fine. So, questions, reports, we've been working mostly on the Jeff this morning for a little while on the 8 gates. Some principles in the 8 gates.
Yeah. Very helpful.
So,
I don't have any questions, no. Light week. Fortunately. Trouble controlling my sleep apnea.
You have that, huh? I've got a bit of that too.
I'm sorry?
I said, I've got a bit of that too. I
Yeah.
sympathize with you. Yeah, it's rough.
doesn't make for good nights.
That's the problem, and if I get, well, my machine was telling me I was having 30 episodes an hour,
Ooh.
average. Well, so, yeah, a lot. And then the next day I'm quitting, yeah, I just non-functional.
Hmm.
So I'm probably gonna have to get, I haven't had a sleep study in years and years, but I'm probably gonna have to do one.
Has it worsened over the time?
Not really, but this latest, the machine reading out wildly fluctuating, numbers of episodes, including,
So you probably never get much into REM sleep then.
I'm sorry,
So you probably never get much into REM sleep.
probably not,
That's rough.
Okay.
so that's, that accounts for 3 or 4 days this week,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, whatever we can do with the form today, I'm sure it will be certainly helpful for me.
Yeah. So, how are you doing with lengthening, or do you?
I feel like it's continuing to happen. I mean, I have not put on extra height.
Neither have I.
Right.
But, on my better days, certainly I feel open.
Uh-huh. Okay. Do you feel the energy flowing out?
There, and to some extent in my legs.
Good.
I know you always say that's more difficult down there, but where I don't feel it so much, it's the torso and the back.
Mhm.
And I mean, potentially it's, my lumbar and sacral regions have been messed up for a long time, and so I hold that. That's gotta have something to do with my inability to lengthen back there.
Yeah. Well. So. I wanted to talk a little bit about lengthening in, which we haven't really talked about up to this point. And it is for us in the West counterintuitive, as a lot of our things are, because while you can find how the physical release helps you to find the ability to lengthen the energy out. Lengthening in is not pulling back in physically, but extending in energetically. So when the energy is coming back in, it's going to come back in and eventually go down to the Dantian. Just as your energy going out then can go from the Dantian out and up and down. And obviously also into the etheric field, both above your head and below your feet, ultimately. But if you can feel the movement from the Dantian to fingertips and eventually toes, that's very good. And there's no, I have no easy way to get the lengthening in. It is something you simply have to feel. But if you can feel the lengthening out, then it is usually a little easier to feel the lengthening in.
Would you explain the difference between lengthening in and what we do in God's in 5 and 6 in terms of?
So the first thing we do in, sorry, Jeff, this is
That's okay.
another subject. In 5, the first thing we do is condense everything, which means that the lengthening is still going to exist, but it will be within that condensed space. So
The condensing does not involve lengthening in.
no, not really.
Okay. Okay.
I've never heard it described that way. Let me put it that way. As I think about it, when you're condensing, there is I suppose, an element of lengthening in it, but that's not your focus.
Okay. Just as a help in trying to understand.
Yeah.
What it is, what it isn't, yeah.
Yeah. So that that's why in 5 and 6, the movements are somewhat smaller. So it's confusing because the arms are still seeming to go out, but instead of it being a movement, for instance, if 5 were not condensed,
Yeah.
then it might look
Yeah.
like this. Okay, and that's not what we're doing, is it?
Right.
Okay. So but the lengthening occurs within the condensing, just as bending and stretching and twisting occur within the condensing. And everything, therefore, is reduced by that amount. So you don't have, if you condense 30%, then all your movements are only 70% of what they might have been originally. But that can increase the movement of the energy.
More potent in a smaller space.
Yep. Yes.
You don't have to explain it, that's fine.
Okay.
But well, let me just say one thing, and hopefully
Yeah.
you're probably gonna cover this anyways, but. The stumbling block I'm most having right now, trying to understand the concept of lengthening in. Is when you say it's a rubber band effect, like lengthening. In my mind, that means lengthening out is stretching, but in my mind also, we're not really stretching, we're releasing and relaxing.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble making that connection there.
So the rubber band image is really only to emphasize that when you think of it going out, that there is an extension. Not that it's tight particularly, but when you think of it coming in, the rubber band doesn't necessarily have to move in. And that's the point of lengthening, is that, and the rubber band has a stretching out, but it also has a pulling back that's going on at the same time. So that's also what's happening with the lengthening. Is that you know, you can be lengthening out and then lengthening in, and it doesn't mean that everything collapses.
Right.
And it works perfectly well, simply lengthening out and lengthening in. And
What?
lengthening out. And if I don't know if you can feel the energy, you can feel my energy move in that. So when I lengthen in, the energy comes back in the yin surface of my arm. Actually, it's traveling through the fascia. And so with lengthening, there doesn't have to be a physical movement. Actually,
I think that's where I'm stumbling a little bit, because
yeah,
when you picture a rubber band as it lengthens and stretches, it gets more taut and more potential energy to go back in.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of having trouble. That's not really.
so
what's
don't
happening.
get stuck in the rubber band.
Yeah.
It's an image that's, I think, helpful for some people and maybe not for others.
Well, when you go from lengthening out to lengthening in, your
Yeah.
first step is mind intent. In the same way.
Yeah,
So maybe just in my mind, I should be thinking change of direction
yes,
instead of rubber band.
yeah.
Okay.
And it can be helpful sometimes at the beginning to think of, to allow the, if you're just going to work just with the arms,
Okay.
to allow there to be a little movement. It doesn't have to be a lot, but sometimes just a little movement helps. But eventually there doesn't have to be. I mean, that's like twisting. I can twist out and twist in, and I'm doing virtually no physical movement,
Right.
but energetically I'm moving. And within my arm, within my body, things are twisting, are moving. But the as we were saying earlier today, this is now moving. When you start thinking about lengthening in, you really have to hopefully have arrived at a point where you have accomplished the physical relaxation. And now you can focus on the energy moving in and moving out.
Are we virtually always doing lengthening in conjunction with twisting?
Almost always.
Because it seems difficult to not do it together.
Oh,
Or yeah, at least maybe counterproductive.
certainly in the 8 gates, that's true.
Yeah,
You get into the form.
yeah, there's some different movements.
Now we can really get
It's not
difficult.
symmetrical. Yeah, I can see that.
But the lengthening is always happening.
Hmm.
So that it, when you are beginning, there's going to be a lengthening in
Hmm.
and then a lengthening out. And a lengthening in and a lengthening out. And a lengthening in and out.
And what you, that, up to that point, that was all in conjunction with twisting as well. There was
Yeah.
nothing that wasn't twisting.
Yeah, no, I was,
Yeah.
that's the nice thing that you could, there doesn't have to be physical twisting, but
Right, but
at this stage, yes, there should be, because that's
right,
I mean, this form practically can be done without much, I mean, there has to be some movement, but eventually there's all doesn't really have to be very much at all. But
even though there's not very little of that external movement, you are still twisting.
oh yeah, still twisting and
That's what's
lengthening.
moving.
Yeah,
all the energy.
but I'm not encouraging you to try to do it smaller, particularly. at this
No, well, as I
point.
said earlier, at this point, I know I'm doing it probably way too big in some areas, but I need to do that so that I
Yeah.
can see my elbows moving.
Yep.
Or, the twist, actually still see the twisting and all that.
And that's perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been working on this form for 20 years.
Right.
I'm still working on this form.
Well, we didn't touch on all of these principles when I did it with you way back when.
No.
And, so that those are new for me, but
Yeah,
the concepts of, gradually making it smaller and smaller physically and all that is the same.
Yeah.
When we do full form.
and in developing the form, sometimes it's really good to practice making it as large as it can be, and then as small as it can be, without, in either case, losing anything.
It's kind of the same way going fast sometimes and slow sometimes, right?
Same thing, and which is also can be very useful. And as I know we did in working on the Yang style, and we haven't really done this, I think, with this form, but doing it without the arm,
Interesting.
doing just the legs, but having everything still going on.
Right.
Which is a really good practice because it helps you stop focusing on your hands.
Right. Good point.
So that's another really good way to practice.
Huh. Yeah, I've never done that yet with this one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you did, it can be very helpful in discovering what you're either doing or not doing.
Yeah. And also, as a reminder of the Dantian too.
Yeah.
I'll remember.
So have I raised more questions than?
Not questions, but clearly I've been conditioned most of my life to notice movement, physical movement, and so at the beginning of almost anything that we've done together, you know, my focus is, okay, where do the hands go, where do the arms go, you know, how big is the step, you know, it's all
Yep.
measured that way.
And that is the beginning.
Hmm?
That is the beginning.
It is the beginning, yeah, but it's not the be all and end all. It's taken me a while to not to realize it. I mean, you said it often enough that it sinks in, but I think in the 8 gates, it's beginning to be. I'm beginning to be aware of how it is not physical in that way
Mhm.
so much. In the form, I'm still married to the, you know, the physical, okay, first we do this, then we do that, you know. Less and less so, but it's still the primary thing.
And it's, and that's another, point that's very related to practice.
Mm.
Because until you get to the point where you don't have to think about what comes next, you just do it. It's pretty hard to focus on an internal principle with it.
I didn't forget where I was, but I was practicing this week and got at some point through the forum and realized that I did not remember doing the previous 3 or 4, you know, things, and I said,
Oh,
oh.
good.
It was-
I love it when it gets meditative, like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's the best way.
absolutely. Good. Well. Why don't you guys flow through the 8 gates and I worked with Jeff for a bit today on the seeker in that.
Yeah, no, there was more you wanna touch on that moving forward, obviously it would be greatly helpful to me, because that's not something I've incorporated yet.
Yeah.
You know, so it's something I'll do my best to start incorporating.
Yeah,
It's a new concept that obviously is extremely important, so.
yeah. And it's it's really important to be aware of it moving from the middle of the spine and to recognize that that means that both parts of the spine move. And the upper part does not move more than the lower part. We have the problem with the C curve for many people is that from the middle of the spine down, let me turn this way. We don't have a lot of bend. We have some, but we don't have a lot of bend. In the upper spine and neck, we have lots of bend.
Yeah.
And so you have to limit what you're doing in the upper spine to match the lower spine. So, because one of the things that happens is that when you do that, people tend to drop their head, and that immediately cuts off the flow through the neck.
Right.
So, if you remember crane's neck, that the blank expression tells me no, you don't.
Well, I think I vaguely do where you're like,
A crane's neck is extending and bending forward,
right,
and it's not this.
my blank, look, we're trying to remember to what extent we're trying to extend it forward.
Not too far, because that's the thing.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
physical.
so in the extension, I can extend to here and the energy open.
Mhm.
I extend to there and I just block the energy.
Is that because you started making more of a muscular
Yeah,
extension?
it went tense in that
You
area.
feel it,
Yeah.
feel it right away.
Yeah. So it's really important not to overdo.
Right,
Um, and so when you're doing the C curve, of matching those two parts is really important and not allowing the upper to do more than the lower.
when you're trying to make them, let them move equally, do you make some movement with the quad and down that far as letting the quad go forward a little bit?
Well, you're doing, yeah, generally when
hips
you're
are cool.
doing the C curve, you are bending down. And then you're straightening up. Or extending is the word I prefer, but. So. Having some slight bend, sinking down, a bend and
Yeah. feels
helps
necessary.
helps to release the pelvic area so it can
Right,
make that movement. And you want to be careful that you don't stick your knees. That's not what we're trying to do.
right,
I just lost the bend back here by doing that.
yeah,
So the bend occurs without the knees doing a lot of pushing forward. Remember, we never want the knees to go beyond the tip of the toe in a movement like this.
well, we can make it just a slight sinking instead of moving forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
yeah, you don't want to go forward, you want to go down.
Yeah, I feel like I need to just sink it a tiny bit to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay. So, certainly movement of the elbows is beginning to be present pretty consistently. That's really good. Be careful, Bill, in this one, your tendency is to be here. And that lifts the shoulders. And the elbows need to be here. One of the things I was talking to Jeff earlier about is that the elbow movement needs to be present, but it doesn't have to be huge. And the hands don't have to respond in big circles to the elbows. So in other words, it doesn't have to be big circles because the emphasis is not the hands. The emphasis is on moving the energy through and connecting into the spine and down to the dantian eventually. So the movement doesn't need to be all that big. It does need the circularity everywhere, but it doesn't have to be huge.
Was my shoulder movement less this time?
Yes, it was less than it was
Right.
earlier. Both of you are coming into the center way too much. And particularly you are, Bill. I'm surprised. I should have I probably have talked about it before, I hope.
Yes.
But
And I was thinking about it, but maybe I'm just not
It's
So
aware
what's-
from I mean,
No, I've been doing it
here to here,
considerably.
so one of the things is that there is an energetic connection between the Lagong point and the side channel. Okay, and that's where that is. And your hands don't have to be facing the body to do that. So that can just be right here. It doesn't have to be huge. And it's not in and out. The elbows are going in and out. The hands in this and this and and this and this are doing this. That's all they're doing. They're not going in and out. They're going in vertical circles right along that
And it
side.
feels like you pointed out earlier, it feels different when you keep that connection. As
Yeah.
opposed to get it out.
Yeah.
I need to work on it for sure.
This one, as much as you can, you want the circles to be like this, not like this, which is what I'm seeing.
Can you do that again?
Sure. So you're here,
Yeah.
the in is coming in and out. It's not going in and out, or you could go the other way, in and out, but neither of those. It's not this circle that we're working with. We want to work with this circle because you're bringing energy into the body
Okay, I see.
and releasing.
I see.
And that's also true with this one. It is not this circle, it's this circle on the diagonal. That's the intention of this one, is it's coming in and out.
I wasn't thinking about it in terms of bringing the energy in that direction.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Well, and here, I mean, you're doing basically doing this fine.
Yeah.
I haven't, but I realized that I haven't perhaps talked clearly enough about the closure. If we talk about breathing and energy there. We're obviously coming in and out and in and out and out, continues, and then in, out, in to the dantian, out and in. So that flow of in and out continues right through the closure and through your holding. It's not a static position. You're actually, the energy is pumping in and out and in and out as you do that.
One more time.
Yeah.
With the in and out, please.
Oh, sure.
Because I didn't get it all.
I can't imagine why not. I'm just moving over, so I'm
Oh,
gonna be on
okay.
the camera for you.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, no.
If
problem.
I'm not used to this, so if I'm in the way of what we
Oh,
need to
yeah.
record for our benefit, tell me.
No problem. So this one again, by the way, is on those sidelines. So this is not an in and out circle this way, it's here. So it's in and out and in and out, and the out continues down to here, and then round that corner. Inhale up, in, and then exhale out. Inhale, exhale.
You know, I was not incorporating it in that.
I know, I realized that I had not talked to you enough about that. That was my thing. Any question for you?
No, I would think from what you just said that my hands are going like this and therefore getting into the center
Yeah.
as opposed to.
Yep.
Because I've been conscious of, okay, you know, at the beginning of any
Yeah,
of the 8 movements, getting them out here, but then because they, you know.
Yeah.
I find the same thing as I start thinking about other things, the C curve or my
Yeah.
scapular, all the other things, trying to think of it, I often forget the boundaries and crossover and almost.
Yeah.
Getting it. So that's,
Yeah.
but I can feel, like you said, you can feel the difference when we stay on side channel.
yeah.
The connection is pretty strong.
That just happens to be the focus here.
Yeah.
But it's not focusing on the central channel.
Right.
Which is difficult to feel at first. Bill's been working on a practice that
Right.
ends up focusing on that, so he's probably a little ahead.
Oh, I'm all over the central channel.
Oh, really? Would you teach me?
I mean, I feel the connection to the side channels a lot more on some of the
Yeah.
kids than on others, of course, but
Yeah,
it's, I definitely, I'm feeling what you're saying.
good, good. So, well, you want to do a flow of the form?
Okay.
Good.
So where's a good place for me to?
Well, take a pick. Yeah. It's, if you've got enough space over there to do it, or you can be back.
Well, I'm trying to do it in a place where so
Will be.
will be okay.
Oh, okay. Well, then you could come here and face the camera.
Face it this way.
Yeah.
Where do you usually stand, Bill?
I usually.
Okay, that's
doesn't
fine.
really-
I just don't want to get in your way.
It's okay.
It doesn't really.
Oh,
I'm just gonna move.
yeah.
I should go back one.
Got through it. I did focus mostly on Jeff today.
It's fair.
Well, I can see him. Um. Really, I guess one of the things I'm thinking is that we need to work on some of the subtleties.
Mm.
With you, because in a gross sense, and that's not a negative, but in a gross sense, you're doing quite well with most of it.
Mhm.
But for instance, what I didn't get always was that this step was an empty step.
I probably had it in several awkward sets. I'm not used to doing it with sneakers on. That was probably a bit of it, and flooring is different. And I'm not making excuses because some
Yeah.
of it probably was also just not doing it properly.
Yeah, and what I would say is you have to learn to do it with whatever you cut.
Yep. That's very true. Very true.
Also not over rotating so that this rotates and this rotates and this, you're going out and in further and then out.
Right.
I,
What was I not doing as well on that section?
well, and I
I
didn't
was
feel-
rotating too fast. Is that the
yeah,
first
you
part?
rotating too
Yeah, I
fast.
did feel that.
And I didn't feel, for instance, that here that there was a lengthening out
Yeah. Okay.
and a lengthening in and a further lengthening in and then lengthening out,
Right.
or bend and stretch, or twist in and twist out,
Right.
and you could focus on any of those.
Okay.
But trying to find, all of those details.
Right. Right.
I thought single foot was pretty good. When you go back to here, remember that at this point you have lengthened in and twisted in
Okay.
and bent in.
Yeah.
So you can go out with all of that. And this movement needs to be around the sphere, not just that.
Oh, I was going. Yeah, I was going.
Every
Hold down.
movement curves. Period.
Mm.
And eventually, every movement is spherical.
Mm.
Okay, so.
I was trying. I was actually trying to go under the sphere is what I was sort of trying to do with that. Not that I was looking at the sphere, but I was going directly down on the curve. And all right, that's quite different. Huh?
It's out.
Yeah.
And the thing, when you begin to talk about curves and circles and spheres,
Yeah.
In the form, things are constantly changing and the spheres are interweaving with each other. So that you had just one sphere here
Mm.
and here, but here's two.
Yeah, you talked about that last class, and I'm still trying to grasp that, and because I know it changes throughout the form.
Yeah,
I have
so
that
the
flow.
one sphere divides into two.
Yeah, I'm still, I haven't worked on that at all, to be honest, but that's, was a different way of thinking that I've never.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it helps to get the roundness of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um.
How did,
Wait.
wave hands, thank you, how did that?
Sort of.
I know, I halfway through, I realized I crossed the center line at least once,
Yeah.
so that's why I wanted to ask you, what else you saw in there?
Well, the other thing is that when you begin
Yeah.
this, don't drop that right arm so fast, okay? You've got two spheres, talk about spheres.
Right,
You've got two spheres, and now you're gonna combine it into one.
Right.
And you get that one and you rotate it,
right.
and you rotate it. Rotate. Back to center for that, going to the left side,
Right.
that right hand is up. So that you have the movement through the step.
Right.
And out.
Yeah, yeah.
That did not seem to really be good.
Okay.
Um. Remember that in New Tiger, that it's you want to connect to the lower dantian and the middle dantian.
I will
This
treat
hand
that.
was dropping way down.
Okay.
And that was happening in gargoyles too.
Is. Position wise, there was gargoyles is a bit lower, isn't it? They're both
Same,
exactly the same?
same,
Oh.
but what's different is the position of the left hand.
Right. I thought also the top hand was lower in gargoyles for some reason.
Oh.
Okay.
They're both in the same place.
All right.
And one of the things, going from, your, offering incense was quite good. I was impressed by your offering incense. That was good. Remember that you're going back
Right.
to 100%, so you can have an empty step.
Yeah.
And then you fully feel it. It's 100%. This is a very rare thing. We don't often go to 100% on the back leg, but in this case we do.
Right.
Okay, so this gate foot is empty.
I started my rotation before I was 100%.
Yeah.
Because I did kind of drop back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that this is, and this becomes an empty step and you go on to it. And it is in, out.
Can you do that one more time? Do that.
Sure. So, so you've gone back to this one. This is gonna be an in. And then when you turn back, it's out. So it isn't a big movement,
Okay.
because you only have so much space here.
Right.
If you get too close to the body, you lose the energy flow.
Hmm.
So it's in and out.
Okay.
With both of you, I noticed when you turned around from here,
Mhm.
for one thing, this turn starts right away. So it's not up, shift around.
Mhm.
So you get down to here and you're starting to turn and shift onto that foot and step back and now the thing here is that you either have to step way around or you have to step around so that you have a good bow stance here. Both of you were like this at this point.
Okay.
So you need to be here so that you have a real bow stance. We'll get to that.
If you take you about 15 steps to get there.
And that's all right. One of the things that, because this is affecting me too, as I have recovered from what has gone on, is I discovered that I don't have right at the moment the ability to do that.
Yeah, right.
Stepping clear around. So I get to here and I discovered that I have to let myself step around
Right,
and get into it.
Okay,
And that's okay.
all right. Well, that's good to
That's-
hear, because I
Jeff-
fight that, you know,
Jeff can-
I want to step back around and make it
yeah,
smooth,
try to,
1 foot done, you know.
Yeah.
But it never works.
and then you remember, whoops, maybe not today.
So it's important to respect your body and what you can do.
Yeah. Now, I always remember you saying, even like from the start, if you have to put in a little extra twist in your step or something, just to
Yeah,
keep it going smoothly instead of what you can't do.
Yeah,
Know your limits.
yeah.
Mm.
So that is important to do, and you know, we're not Bill and I are not spring chickens anymore.
Yeah.
So, it's understandable.
yeah, we're old turkeys.
Yeah. Gobble, gobble.
Let's call you old eagles. How's that? Old
Thank you,
eagles.
thank you, Jeff. So I think that's all I'm gonna throw at you about
Well, it'd be
that.
good to be able to watch this too, because
Yeah.
obviously I don't ever have a chance to record myself doing this. So.
So I don't know, where are we in?
No idea.
About there.
Oh, no, we've got, actually, we have 15 minutes.
Okay.
So places where you have questions. I mean,
You actually hit one of them, which was
yeah,
after I did have a question on how that is actually supposed to be done, but we touched that. Do you have something specific, Bill?
No, I mean, it's just, you know, annoyance with myself a little bit. I mean, you've been talking about roundness and the balls and rounding the corners and, you know, you come at it in 12 different ways. And for the most part, I have been, okay, this,
Mm,
that, and now it's beginning, you know, a little bit like in single whip, you know, recognize that it's not this
yeah,
and and that, so that's coming.
Yeah.
It's a kind of revelation, and as I say, at the same time, you know, we've been at this for years, and finally it's clicking in.
Right.
yeah. Well, it takes a while. And the roundness is just, I mean, that's how you keep the energy flowing.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean,
Well, it also feels better.
yeah, absolutely.
The roundness combined with not stopping and starting
Yeah.
again. It's
Yeah.
just to keep.
Well, the roundness
keeping the flow
is
going.
part of what makes it possible
Right.
to not stop, to
Yeah.
flow from one to the other.
That's what I was trying to do with 8 gates, is not count.
Right. Right.
Well, 1 done, 2 done, 3 done, 4, just
Yeah.
let it keep happening.
Yeah.
And of course, I lost count, so I
Right. Yeah.
I was relying on you.
Yeah.
When you went the next floor,
Well,
I said,
I can
okay,
guarantee you
guess-
there was some that I
guess
did
I've
4
done
on.
enough.
There was at least 2 or 3 where I know I did at least 4 on, because I kind of did the same thing. I just focusing on all the other things
Yeah.
after, was I third or not?
Well, so since we talked about this, just to get us a little sense of it, start at the beginning of the form and just go up through white. Was it white goose? Follow and focus without the arms.
Helps to do it really slowly
Mm.
in this one, that I remember.
So how was that? What did you
I
feel?
actually did it. I wasn't
That was
very
right.
good.
I didn't feel like I hit any stumbling blocks where I wasn't sure what my body should do. I mean, you may think differently, but
Um. Actually, I think pretty good. Um. I think one of the things I would say for both of you to keep in mind is that basic principle in Tai Chi. If one part of the body moves, all parts move, and if any part is still, all parts are still. So no moving of the leg independent of some connected body movement. It's the Dantian moving the leg, not the leg stepping out.
where did you see that happening?
Well,
A lot.
here and there.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not a lot for you. Not a lot, not really a lot for Bill either. But I'd like you to do it again and really think about that.
Okay.
And also in shoulder, make sure you don't shift too far forward. You actually don't want to go beyond your bow stance at most. And I couldn't really see Jeff, but I could see you, Bill, and you had your knee bent forward in that, and you really want to be
I knew
stable.
something was wrong. Thank you, that explains it.
Yeah.
I was out of balance when I got there, so.
I used to do that all the time, and I have worked on that.
Yeah.
Remembering that we still need a little bit of forward for one goose afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't go backward.
What?
Don't go backward on blue. Yeah. I know what I would say is it's less, but it's still there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
For you, when you go into blue or follow,
Mhm.
you go up. It's not up, it's just
Hmm.
straight ahead.
Okay.
So, when you've gotten to hung,
Yeah.
this movement is just forward. And when you open it on, there might be a very slight rise, but it's just because the joints are all opening to do that final movement.
Okay. Yeah, I always thought there was a tiny rise in there.
Nope,
Wow,
no,
that's pretty significant. Then.
I mean,
Did I do it in all of them?
yes.
Yeah.
Unless the posture requires it, this is a form that's all done. I mean, we have places where, we have to
Yeah.
sink or rise slightly, but basically the intention is that, Matt, did you ever read the Tao of Tai Chi Chuan?
Long time ago, like when
Yeah.
I was still here.
Well, when Master Joe described the movements of Tai Chi, he talked about them being like a ball rolling along the floor.
Mm,
So
same level.
same level, but moving,
Right.
round and moving.
Right. That I remember.
Yeah. So that's a good thing to remember
Okay.
about the movement, is that as much as is appropriate, it's on one level.
Yeah. Okay. That's a very good.
Yeah. Good. And
Thank you.
there's a lot to be learned from just doing it. I would also say to both of you, relax your arms when you're doing this.
Yeah.
This is normally we don't say this, but I would say that in doing this, it's good to let the arms completely go limp.
Hmm.
So you don't try to do anything with the arms.
Yeah. I was definitely, when I was flowing both of those times without the arms, I was thinking what would the arms be doing, because it helped me to think about what the body was doing. So that was probably.
You're not interested in what the arms
I
do.
know.
In this practice, you're only interested in what the body and the legs are doing.
Yeah.
So you have to, and that's helpful in learning to let go of focusing on the hands.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a great Thanksgiving
Yes.
if you can.
Thank you. You as well.
It's gonna be just quiet, Jane and me.
Kate and Jesse and I will be in Boston, actually. We're
Oh,
going, this is our last night in Connecticut. We're staying in Boston for 2 nights before we go back to Florida.
some
So,
friends up there.
not really. We just, the Airbnb we got in Coventry. We couldn't get the last 2. I had to change plans fairly late. Long story short, we couldn't extend it for 2 more. So we, instead of looking for another place around here, we said, well, why don't we do something a little different? And so I found actually a very affordable, good hotel in Boston for 2 nights.
Oh, good.
And we'll do something a little different, and we'll see what happens in Boston on Thanksgiving. I have no idea. I'm sure we'll find something to do.
There are places to look at, though.
Yeah, I mean, we don't eat meat, so we don't really,
You don't
we
eat,
we
don't
can,
have
we
turkey.
can we don't have to find a place with turkey. We can find a Chinese takeout or, whatever. I'm
Yeah,
sure we'll find many things. We're gonna be very close to Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market. I'm sure we'll find stuff
well,
around there.
yes.
Go hang out in Faneuil Hall.
That's probably the plan, Bill. Yep. I'm just taking it and we'll figure it out when I get there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it was great to be here with you guys and
Glad to have you here. It's really wonderful to see you in the flesh.
yeah, absolutely. I miss it very much.
Well,
I'll be honest with you, very much.
but you do the best you can, which is,
We do. I need to get a new laptop so that I can have much more quality
yeah,
interaction and you can see me better. So.
well, okay, sure. They're not cheap, but,
I know, I can get a decent one for 550, 600.
and actually you can buy them on time now.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
David, I would like to pay you, I brought cash with me. I'd like to pay you for next session plus today.
Oh, okay,
So what,
it was gonna be 2:30.
did you go with it? But
Well,
I would brought a little extra to make sure.
oh,
But they're not, this was this the second or there's two? Was this the second or third class of this section?
I have to look and see.
I was just.
I'm always forgetting.
Two, three.
Thank you. I will.
And how's Jane been?
She's good,
Yeah.
good.
Send her my love a few.
Yeah,
things.
she drives me everywhere now.
Yeah,
I can't drive anymore.
yeah. These are really tough roads for anybody. I can imagine it would be really hard for you.
Well, driving with the other cars is okay. I just don't see people walking on the side often.
Mm,
I mean, I do eventually, but sometimes I don't see them right away.
Right.
And then, I just don't wanna mow somebody down.
That would be a very terrible thing.
Yeah, that would be awful.
For
So,
everybody. Do what you can to get by, David.
oh, yeah,
You know, I'm glad to see you doing well and taking care of the things that need to be taken care of, and you always seem to be done pretty well.
yeah, I'm really doing quite well.
When is your birthday?
February 18th.
I knew it was close to mine. Mine's in March.
Yeah,
So can I ask how old you're gonna be this year?
Thank
Next
you.
year? You are. I knew you were upper 80s. I didn't know that. 80. God bless you. Universe bless you.
yeah, no,
You're doing wonderful.
I can't, it's hard for me to believe that I don't really feel, that age.
Yeah. Okay. Like you say, that was fine. I appreciate that you are still teaching,
Yeah,
that you put into it.
I don't really know exactly
Oh, no, I never
about
know.
that. But I am certainly getting to a point where,
Right,
I probably won't be doing it for much longer,
yeah, understood.
but this has been fun with you guys, I must say.
Yeah, I do miss this, and even just when we flow together, it just feels good to flow with somebody, you know?
Oh, yeah.
No, self is missed.
There is something about that joint energy that's,
Yeah, very much, of course. That's my fun. Good to see you, Bill. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Not tomorrow,
No.
next Tuesday, I most likely will have to do Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, I may have to duck out a few minutes early.
okay.
Electrician.
You got electrical
Well-
problems? You have electrical problems?
Yeah,
Ron is your
probably,
restaurant, sure they have an hour drive.
Yeah.
light flickering. And that's about,
Wow.
we both noticed that, we thought we were both crazy, and neither one said anything to the other. And then finally, we were together and did you see that? Have you been seeing it? Yes. Okay, just a fraction of a second. So that you're not sure you
Yeah, yeah.
really saw what you saw.
Oh, wow.
So I have no idea what that could be, but the control panel should really be edited.
Yeah,
It's been worked on a couple of times, basically up to date, but I want it cleaned up and,
yeah.
and everything identified. There's some that I identified and
Yeah.
I'll need to.
And as Jane has always said, the electrician who wired our house was drunk.
Yeah.
Because some of the circuits, they're not just one area.
Yeah.
There'll be
well,
like
and
two
that's-
areas. It's like, why, what is that?
Yeah. So we'll probably need a couple of visits because I'm sure we're gonna have to go around the house and say, okay, this one and that one, because we have the same
Yeah,
issue.
well,
And I want him to look at a couple of sockets and things that I put in myself because I use a lot of electrical tape, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
they,
Hey,
I'd,
I will do that. Hopefully you'll get to see them again sometime soon.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
how's your mom doing?
She is doing very poorly.
Yeah.
Take care, but yes,
Take
great.
care, Bill.
Yeah. Nice seeing you. And she's been doing poorly physically for a long time, but
Yeah.
her mental, it's some sort of bipolar or whatever, in addition to other things, but it's progressively gone from,
Yeah.
at one point a couple of years ago, it was sort of, she was in bad state half the time, and now bad state almost all the time. It's, I won't get into all the details, but it's really hard, and she just doesn't realize when she's almost just being very mean and nasty. And she,
Yeah.
the sad thing is she was such a sweet, loving woman all of her life, and it's just, that woman's basically gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know when I'm gonna be back in Connecticut again, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
It's hard,
Yeah. Of course.
and so
That's really tough.
we'll see. We may come for a very short visit sometime over the winter. Jesse really wants to see snow. So maybe we'll do like a just quick 3-day thing if we can find cheap airfare and cheap
Yeah.
to be at downtime.
Yeah.
We'll try and make it to cover Tuesday so that we can come by here. But We'll see. We'll see. how it
Yeah.
goes.
Okay.
Listen, I miss you terribly.
Oh, miss you
Awful.
too.
And I really appreciate everything you do, David,
Oh.
and all you've ever done.
Oh, thank
You're a
you.
wonderful guy, and a wonderful friend.
Oh, thanks.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you too, buddy.
See you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.